Hi everyone, it's Nicole Steele. I'm the owner, designer, and creator of thejoyfulstamper.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Every Saturday, I post the weekly sketch from Split Coast Stampers on my blog, and I also record a video and write a written tutorial showing you how I interpreted that sketch for that week. So this week's sketch from Split Coast Stampers is very interesting. It's an arrow fold card, and it is a completely new fold to me. Might not be to some of you, but to me it is. And I am going to use Zany Zebras stamp set to make a really fun, bright colored birthday card. All right, let's get started. Okay, and you can see how this opens. This is the back part of the fold. So it's a few simple score lines, nothing too crazy. And we're gonna start with a 5.5 inch by 11 inch piece of Pacific Point cardstock, okay? And we're gonna make a few measurements first. Okay. Pull out a pencil and a ruler, but your grid paper is actually going to come in handy for this because it's got measurements on the bottom and along the left-hand side, and the flip side of it also has it in centimeters too. Okay, so we're going to line up the 5.5 inch side along the bottom there, and we're going to make a pencil mark at 2 3/4. Now that's the exact middle of the short side of that paper. Next, we're going to make a pencil mark at 1 7/8 of an inch. And I'm doing this on the left side first, then at 3 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to score at the 5.5 inch line, so we'll leave that one blank. We're going to make those marks on both the left and the right side of this cardstock, so this is where my ruler is going to come in handy. I'm going to make a mark on the opposite side here, the right side, at 1 7/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to make another mark at the 3 3/4 inch line. Now here's the handy thing. With this grid paper, the lines are all marked in 1/4 inches. So at this point, I'm just using the ruler as a visual reference so that I know which line is the 3 3/4 inch line. And I'll make a pencil mark. And again, the 5.5 inch line is going to be scored, so we don't need to touch that one. Okay, we're done with the ruler. We can set it aside. Now you're going to pull out your paper trimmer, and you're going to want a bone folder. Open your paper trimmer up so that you're going to lay your paper here on the track. And first we're going to score at 5.5 inches. So if your trimmer has an arm, go ahead and swing it out. Line your paper up at the 5.5 inch mark, close it, and I'm going to run my bone folder along that track. Now, Stampin' Up! Does have a paper trimmer that has a cutting blade and a scoring blade. I've had this paper trimmer for 17 years, and I have a lot of sentimental nostalgia attached to it, and that's why I won't get rid of it. So that's why you're seeing me use this 17-year-old trimmer. Now I'm going to line up my 2 3/4 inch pencil mark on the bottom of that the cutter track, and I'm going to line up the 1 7/8 inch pencil mark also in that cutter track, and I'm going to close it and use my bone folder to make a score line there. Open the track up, keep that 2 3/4 inch center mark positioned down here, and just slide your paper so that next up the 3 3/4 inch pencil mark lines up in that track. These score lines are what's going to make our arrow fold. Okay, and again, keeping that 2 3/4 inch pencil mark in the paper track, slide it over so that your 5.5 inch mark is now lined up in there also. Close your paper trimmer and, whoops, score it. I like to go over it twice just to make sure. We're going to do the same process on the right-hand side of our piece of paper. Again, that 2 3/4 inch pencil mark is going to stay on the bottom of that paper track, and we're going to line up the, let me shift this over here a little bit so I have room. That 1 7/8 of an inch mark is going to go right there. Close it. Okay. Next up, we're lining up the 3 3/4 inch mark. 5.5 inch mark is getting lined up. Now this will produce a 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch square card. So you will need to make your own envelope for it. Whoops. Knocking things around all over the place here. Okay, now we're going to take our bone folder and we're going to score on all those score lines. Nice sharp folds are what we want here. And sometimes I even like to go back and forth with these pieces just so I can be sure that it's going to fold perfectly straight and flat. So we're going back and forth like an accordion. And you'll see that's the first half of our arrow fold. Now we're going to do the other side. And you can use adhesive to hold those flaps down. Okay. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I want them to stay flat, so I'm going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal down because I want the flaps to stay shut. And I want those to stay put also. So, no, I think those are good. I'm going to leave those be. Okay, now I'm going to put some mats on the inside of this here. I want to show you a really cool way to save some paper. So I have a 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this paper is from the In Color paper stack that Stampin' Up! Carries. You get 48 6 inch by 6 inch sheets. I'm choosing the Just Jade color, and I'm going to use this wood grain pattern, and this is a 5 inch by 5 inch piece. But I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to die cut this white label here that's on the front of my card, but instead of getting a separate sheet of Whisper White cardstock to do that, I'm actually going to die cut it from the center of this white layer here. It's going to get covered anyways by this paper. So why not use that instead of using a whole sheet of paper? It's just a neat trick to save on cardstock. So I'm bringing out my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I'm going to be using plate 1, plate 2, plate 3, and then laying down my cardstock and my die right in the center, and then I'm putting the other plate 3 on top, and I'm going to run it through my machine. Okay. And there we've got both those pieces, and we can go ahead and glue everything on. Okay. And I'm just going to use liquid glue to adhere all of this. It's economical, it's easy to use. This would be a fun birthday card for a kid, and I have a couple little kids in mind that I'm going to send it to. Now you can use either side of the pattern, whichever you prefer, and actually I think I'm going to go with the words this time, just for something different. Okay, so we have the inside of our card made, and we've got this label to use. Now what I want to do is I'm going to stamp some stars for a fun background on this, and I'm going to use Pacific Point ink. This set is so adorable, and I did not have any zebra stamps, so I had to add some to my stamp collection. Stamp as many stars as you want. You really can't go overboard here. Okay, and now on a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, I am going to stamp the Leaping Zebra in Pacific Point ink on there. just like this. And then I'm going to take a blender pen and I'm just going to go over it. And you can see how it's using the ink from the stamped image to blend and color in those spaces. So this is an easy way to add some color to your image without having to be a coloring pro, without having to take a lot of time to color it in or to do blending and shading. I just thought that was a really fun look. Now I did the same thing in Mango Melody and in Gorgeous Grape with the other two zebras that are in the Zany Zebra stamp set. And this set does not have dies with it, but it's really easy to cut out with your paper snips. I happen to like fussy cutting. I've said it over and over again if you've watched my videos. I don't buy die sets for every single stamp set that comes out. I like basic versatile shapes that I can see myself using with multiple stamp sets in a variety of ways. But this stamp set actually didn't even have dies that came with it. But these zebras, they are so darn cute. I couldn't pass them up. Sometimes you stamp literally, you know, like you look at this and you think, oh no, that's zebra. You have to stamp them in black and white. Sometimes I do that and I have to remind myself it's just a card. I can make my zebra whatever color I want. It's okay. It's good to get out of that box every now and then. That's what I like about creating, is you can make things as you want them to be and not what they actually are in real life. So it's an escape of sorts. I tend to be a thinker, not a feeler. And stamping sort of takes me away from that thinking side, which is nice. Okay, so I put Stampin' Dimensionals on the back there, and we're gonna ground these zebras. So there's an image in the stamp set that sort of acts, at least I think it is, the shadow for underneath each of these zebras. So we're gonna stamp one in its coordinating color under each zebra. So Melon Mambo, Gorgeous Grape, and Pacific Point are gonna go underneath each of them. We will start with the Pacific Point, and I'll stamp that one right underneath there. And I'm going to stamp off on scratch paper a couple times just so I don't contaminate my ink pads. Next up, I'm going to use the Melon Mambo and stamp that one there. Stamp that off a couple times to get the ink off, and now Gorgeous Grape is on the far right. Better close these before we have an ink accident. Okay. All right, now I can go ahead and I'm going to attach these fun guys to the card. I'm going to peel off all the dimensionals liners from all the zebras first because I want to be able to position them on my card here. Okay. And if you press lightly enough, you actually can still take the zebras off your paper if they don't fall just where you want them to. That one's going to go there, and this one is going to be leaping. Oh my gosh, these guys are cute. Cute, cute, cute. Put some liquid glue on the back. I'm going to put them right here. Okay, and I already went ahead of time and I stamped in Versamark ink, Happy Birthday, You Party Animal, and I sprinkled white embossing powder on them and then melted that powder with my heat tool. I also stamped in Just Jade ink this little party hat, and I cut it out with paper snips. And that's going to get stuck on my card. These I'm trimming down into individual words. I want to be able to tilt them and slant them on my card to create a sense of fun movement and celebration. And I am going to glue each of these on with a mini Stampin' Dimensional. Now you don't have to do this. You can leave the words as they are. It's entirely up to you. It's your card. I like making my sentiments smaller like this. Okay, now we're going to get out the mini dimensionals. I am so glad Stampin' Up! Came out with these mini dimensionals. So many times in years past, I cut the regular dimensionals in half in order to get them to fit in these smaller spaces. And my scissors would get all gummed up, and so I'd have to frequently clean them. But now with these mini dimensionals, I don't have to do that anymore. And we're going to take all those little papers off. This stamp set reminds me of the Fruit Stripes bubblegum that I used to enjoy as a kid, where it had that rainbow zebra. Okay, and now I'm just going to put these on randomly at different angles. You don't want to think about this too hard. Let's see. Happy birthday, you party animal. There we go. Oh, no, we're not done. We got to put some Just Jade ribbon on. This is sort of like a cotton twill ribbon. It's really soft, really easy to tie. And I want a nice big bow just to add to the joyful spirit of this card. And we're going to stick that on with a mini glue dot. And I'm going to put that right up there. Okay. Now we're done. So that's the arrow fold card using, whoops, fell off. Using, oh, you know what? I never got, the glue dot didn't stick to it. Okay, now it's on there. All right, so this is the arrow fold card using this week's sketch from Split Coast Stampers, which again I have on my blog, and you can get all the supplies for these cards in my store, shopwithnicole.stampinup.net. Be sure to use this month's current host code too, which is found on my blog, because I offer Stampin' Rewards, joyful Stampin' Rewards, as a thank you for choosing me as your demonstrator, because I really, really appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. And so I hope you guys enjoy this card. I hope you enjoyed the sketch, and I will see you next Saturday with next week's Saturday sketch from Split Coast Stampers. All right, thanks guys. Bye.